You might assume that building serious wealth requires an elite intellect, a stroke of extreme luck, or spending your days frantically timing the market. Yet, highly educated professionals routinely lose money by letting their emotions dictate their trades, while people with average incomes quietly build vast net worths using basic, automated systems. Extreme financial outliers certainly benefit from luck. Bill Gates is brilliant and hardworking, but he also attended one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer in 1968. That specific timing shaped his entire trajectory. For the rest of us, acquiring money is largely a math problem. Keeping it and growing it is almost entirely a behavioral challenge. Research shows that about 88% of today's millionaires are completely self-made. They didn't inherit their wealth, and they didn't get there by day trading the volatile stock picks shouted by financial media personalities. Instead, their strategy relies on mechanical consistency. They buy broad index funds, hold them for decades, and essentially do nothing. Long-term wealth generation relies less on trying to outsmart the stock market and more on simply getting out of your own way. Over brief periods, say 1 to 10 years, stock returns are highly volatile and largely unpredictable. An investor who pulled their money out in the summer of 1939, after enduring the Great Depression, would have locked in a 10-year total return of negative 40%. But extending your investment timeline to 30 years alters the underlying math, flattening out the impact of severe global crises. Consider the last 3 decades. Investors weathered the dot-com crash, September 11th, the 2008 financial crisis, a global pandemic, and major geopolitical conflicts. Yet, even if you invested at the absolute worst moment in modern history, the very peak of the 1929 market, right before an 80% crash, leaving that money alone for 30 years still yielded an 850% total gain. When you zoom out far enough, time, rather than timing, is the mechanism that eliminates risk. The vehicle used to capture that 3-decade growth is remarkably straightforward: the 3-fund portfolio. It consists of exactly 3 low-cost index funds covering the entire investable universe: domestic U.S. stocks, international stocks, and bonds. An investor can adjust their risk simply by changing the size of these blocks. To dial down volatility, increase the bond portion. This chart shows the range of annual returns based on asset allocation. A 100% bond portfolio minimizes losses, but limits growth to around 4.7% annually, while a pure stock portfolio pushes average returns past 8%, bringing much wider historical swings. Paying a professional to pick specific winning companies within these categories rarely works out. Speedo research shows that over a 20-year period, more than 90% of actively managed large-cap funds underperform their benchmark index after fees. Buying the entire market is mathematically superior to paying a manager high fees to hunt for the needle. Since market returns are outside of your control, maximizing wealth requires focusing on the internal margins you can dictate. Hidden fees and taxes act as a continuous drain on an account. Morningstar data indicates that, on average, investors lose about 2 percentage points of their annual returns simply by ignoring the impact of taxes. This graphic breaks down the 3 pillars of tax efficiency: managing capital gains, deferring when taxes are paid, and reducing overall tax liability. This table shows the rules for one such strategy: health savings accounts. By routing money through tax-advantaged vehicles like an HSA, you can defer taxes entirely on qualifying expenses, letting the balance compound without annual tax drag. Systematically optimizing these mundane tax levers guarantees more capital retention than trying to identify the next breakout tech stock. Once your portfolio is set and your contributions are automatic, the primary threat to your net worth is your own behavior, specifically a phenomenon known as lifestyle creep. This occurs when personal spending continually expands to match a rising income. If every promotion at work triggers a move to a bigger house or a newer car, the extra money never has a chance to reach your investment accounts, entirely neutralizing the mathematical power of compounding interest. Real savings isn't a specific dollar amount. It is simply the behavioral gap between your ego and your income. Generating wealth is a straightforward calculation. Keeping it intact is a lifelong psychological battle. Protecting that wealth requires a dual mindset: a baseline of personal frugality paired with a healthy paranoia about potential losses. You must remain completely grounded when inevitable market crashes, recessions, and global panics hit. Automate a 3-fund portfolio, minimize your tax drag, intentionally live below your means, and let 30 years of compounding do the heavy lifting. It is an aggressively boring financial strategy, but maintaining a boring financial life is exactly what builds the strong foundation needed for an exciting actual life.